Do you want to do the welcome to the 864 podcast?
Nope.
All right, sweet. Welcome to the 864 podcast. I'm Mike.
And I'm Randall.
And we host the 864 podcast. That's terrible. Alex, cut that. Welcome to the 864 podcast. I'm Mike.
And I'm Randall.
And we interview people in the upstate, and we talk to them about what they do, what they love to do, their passion, their visions. And we bring them to you to present them and get you guys excited about what's happening in the upstate of South Carolina. And then also, hopefully, you bring that, whatever you learn, and apply it to wherever you are and the things you like. So this morning we have Davis Bacher with us, and we both know Davis really well. And he does a lot of awesome things. And we're going to talk to him a lot about that this morning. So welcome, Davis.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So if you would just introduce yourself a little bit, tell us a little bit about what you do and what you're involved in.
All right. Well, my name is Davis Bacher. I am a carpenter by trade, and I lead a children's ministry and also volunteer with an anti-trafficking organization in Greenville, and just love the community I'm in and want to be able to make a difference there.
Yeah. So what do you do? What do you do with your woodworking?
Mostly outdoor living type things. So decks, pavilions. That's a lot of what I do. We also have a full line of lawn furniture.
Okay.
So been there going on 20 years now. So
Wow.
It's been a long time.
I didn't even know you were there that long. That's wild. And then let's just start. Talk to us a little bit about the kids ministry you're involved in, Kids Club, and let's just go back to the very beginning. Actually, no. First, let's start. Just tell us in a nutshell what it is.
Okay, so it's a Monday evening children's church. We work with a local church on the Mill Hill in Seneca. We gather every Monday evening. Alternate Monday evenings between two age groups. So 1 week we'll have our 4 to 8 year olds. Mm-hmm. Next week we'll have our 9 to 12 year olds. And just an evening of fun. We try to incorporate some lesson time, singing time. Then there's activities and a meal at the end of the evening for the children.
Mm-hmm. And where are you located specifically?
So I'm on the Utica Mill Hill in Seneca. We partner with Ann Hope United Methodist Church.
Okay.
And it's been a great partnership.
Yeah, cool.
So how did you end up in that area originally?
So that goes back to the start of Kids Club. We had... there was some vision for a children's ministry in the area. Specifically, Mike Glick, a friend of mine, had a vision for it, and I was all about it. I had been a part of a small children's ministry before that I had tried to start, and it didn't really continue on very well. But I still had a heart for it, and so we started praying about where we should go. And we prayer walked, we did Walhalla, we did Westminster, and we did Seneca, and really felt God leading us to the Mill Hill in downtown Seneca. I had never been there before we started prayer walking.
Wow.
And just didn't realize that a place like that existed in Oconee County. Yeah. So that's what led us to that area. And so, it was, we approached the church. I don't know how much of the history you want to go into right now, but, we approached the church wanting to use their parking lot as just a base for reaching the children of the community. We were planning on having a trailer with everything we needed. Yeah. And just pulling up there and doing a once a week children's ministry. Unbeknownst to us, the church had been also praying about what was next for them, and through a whole series of events, they realized that children's ministry was what they wanted to do, but being an older congregation, they did not have the staff and
Yeah.
the energy to do
Yeah.
something like that. And within a week, my Uncle Joe and Mike Glick had approached the church asking if we could do a children's ministry
Wow.
on their property.
Wow.
And
That's
so
incredible.
it's been just an incredible God thing
Yeah.
since the start.
Yeah. Cool. So like how many people roughly like kind of came together to start this? Like, cause I know you kind of have to have bodies for something like this. Like how many people, and then how did you get people kind of on board with that?
Yeah, so in the beginning, it would have been Mike Glick's family, and some of the youth group from Foothills Fellowship in Westminster, and there was a few other maybe couples. I'm trying to remember who all was actually there in the beginning, but there was, I would say, probably 10 or 15 people that were interested in helping out at the beginning, and so that's changed over the years. There's very few of the originals left, but yeah, it's been now we probably have about 30 staff.
Wow.
Volunteers that come in pretty regularly.
Yeah.
And most of them now are from Fairplay Community Chapel, but we also have a mix from several churches in the area.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah.
So when it came to actually starting the club then, what was it like getting, I guess, building a reputation in the area, getting kids to come? How was that process?
We did some door-to-door stuff, just walking around the community, talking with people. Through some of the events that had happened before, there was a core group of about 6 children that started coming right away. And through them telling their friends, we started picking up more. In the beginning, we were only on the Mill Hill. We'd split into 2 or 3 groups and walk to the kids' houses and walk them back to the church. So it was just a neat time of connecting with the kids, walking along the street. The community was able to see us, see what was going on, see us interacting with the children, and yeah, that really put us in favor with the community, and also increased the amount of children we had.
Yeah.
So, yeah, now we have 2 buses, and we have a little bit bigger network, I guess, that we go to, but we're still right within the Mill Hill community, within a mile or so of there.
Yeah. Cool. Have you this is not really on the sheet, but have you been able to watch a lot of the kids from the time it started up until like now, like where they are now?
I wouldn't say maybe a lot, but there's still quite a few kids in the area that I would recognize, that I would know from way back in the day. There was quite a few still at the Way ministry that I've known for many years, and so that's always it's always neat to see how kids are doing. There's still some there in the community still.
Yeah. Have you guys always done it on Monday nights, or did you kind of switch up?
We started out on Sunday nights.
Okay.
We felt like that was going to be the time where we get the kids at home a lot more, because we didn't want to do it on a school night at that point, and we could do it earlier so it wouldn't be dark, especially with us walking.
Yeah.
So Sundays at that point were very busy for us, because we'd have church in the morning, you'd go get lunch, and then you'd have kids' church at 3 or so in the afternoon, and at that point we were having church in the evenings too. So you'd pack up from kids' church and run straight back to Westminster for evening service, and so it was not very restful at that point. And I'm not sure what changed it, changed the moving to Monday nights, but it was, especially once we got our buses, it helped a lot, like, because we could take them home even when it was dark. We could, so that's that's one of the main reasons probably we started on Monday evenings, and I don't remember if there were other reasons or not.
Yeah, yeah. Talk to us a little bit too. Like, I just want to like give everybody a really good view of like what you guys do. I know like VBS is a big thing for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
How does like did that start all the way at the beginning, or was that kind of a few years in you decided to start doing that? Or
We pretty much started that right away.
Okay.
So I think we started in the fall of either the fall of 2010 or the spring of 2011, and I can't remember exactly the date.
Okay.
But that next summer, the summer of 2011, we had our first Vacation Bible School. And yeah, it's grown. I mean, I wouldn't say it's grown every year since, but it's definitely become a huge part of our ministry is the summer Vacation Bible School. So we'll have up to 100 or more children there for 5 nights in a row.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's always a fun week, but it's a very busy week as well.
Yeah.
Have you faced any like opposition in the community there to what you're doing, or is pretty much everybody on board?
For the most part, we have very, very good favor. One quick story, when we were walking around early on trying to recruit kids or whatever, and I remember walking up to one house and telling them, oh, we were with the Ann Hope United Methodist Church, and we saw you had some toys or something in the yard, and we're wondering if you had any children that'd be interested in coming to a children's church. And they were like, oh, no, we're Baptist. It was like, okay, well, that's fine. So, no, I mean, as far as opposition, we have not had any pushback, but that was just like, okay, you can't, not willing to work along with the United Methodists.
That's funny. That's funny.
I almost told him I was Mennonite at that point, but I was like, well.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, and part of the reason why I ask that is like, just the community there. I think it's one of those areas that's kind of been pushed out of maybe the greater community around it, even in Seneca, because for those who don't know what it's like over there, it's a lot of lower income housing, a lot of, I guess, really cheap rundown rentals left over from the textile mill there. And for me, like, it's out of the way enough. I think Kids Club was the first time I ever realized that there was a low income area like that here. And I mean, granted, I was young and a little bit unaware, but it's not somewhere you go through just for anyhow, set aside and really run down. And I just wondered how that's been with the relationship of an outsider coming in, if people get defensive, or that kind of situation.
I don't think so. There still seems to be a very healthy respect for the church in the community, in spite of the condition of the community. And what has helped is the reputation that Ann Hope has in the community. They're very plugged into the community. The ministry they do, caring for people there in the community, I'm sure opened the doors for us to be able to work there. I would say in the early years, I realized the fact that we are coming in from the outside, and I started feeling like somebody needs to live close by the kids, experience what they're experiencing, live in the same situation. And at that point, I was single. I was looking for a house and decided that that's the area that I should move to. And so I ended up buying a house, moved in 2013, and have lived there ever since. I'm a block away from the church, so I'm right in the middle of it.
Yeah, that was gonna be one of my things that I was gonna ask about, because I know, like, I personally, I love that, and I think like that that played in a little bit too, like, to even why I moved into closer to where our kids were, and because of that same mindset of, you want to be where it is. You don't just want to be some outside. How did that feel for you? Like actually fully committing to it at that point? Was it something that you were just like gung ho about and like, oh, this is an awesome opportunity, or did it take a little bit to just decide that?
I think it didn't take too long. It was definitely an adjustment for me. For one thing, it was the first time living on my own.
Yeah.
Another thing is I was used to space growing up. We didn't have a lot of land, but I had access to a lot of countryside, whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, we grew up in the country, and moving into the city with houses on every side of you, constant traffic, constant people walking by your house. It was an adjustment. I never would have considered myself a city person, but I have come to love it as much as I would love to have some acreage and space to live and relax, whatever. But my wife and I have just come to love the neighborhood, and it's really opened up some neat opportunities as well. Just interacting with the community.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about like, have there been like specific instances where you've looked and you've been like that opportunity is solely from like being there and being a part of it? Like, does anything come to mind where?
Oh yeah, there's lots of lots of things. Just having, we've had random interactions with people that are like, "Oh, you live on this and this street." It was like, "Yeah, we do. How do you know that?" It's like, "Oh, we've seen you in your yard, whatever." And it's just like, or having kids stop by the house. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. Being able to respond to needs happening in the community. If I lived a half hour away, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Recently, I met a young man that was living there on the Mill Hill, just got out of prison, but a believer and just wanting to change his life. And because I lived on the Mill Hill, we were able to connect, and it's been a great connection and a neat friendship developing.
Yeah. And I'd say you guys have made the most of the space that you do have there. And I know the other couple of weeks ago we were over there with a group of people, and I love it when you see people walking by and they can see maybe a house of some peace and a little bit of chaos sometimes. That just makes a big difference. There's something about that people notice and they want to be a part of it. And I think it can be something that draws people to what you're doing and then closer to God through that.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me. Like, it's a Mill Hill house. It's just the same as all the other houses. But it's so often when we have people over or people stop by, whatever, they come in, and it's like, yeah, I've done some work to the house. I try to keep it nice, but like they just feel like, oh, it's so peaceful, so big, such a big house, and it's like, no, it's the same size as all the other house, and that peace just comes from the Lord. Jesus is, he's in the house, and so I feel like, and we try to keep it in nice shape, so it does present a nice place for people to come.
Yeah, that's good. I guess we'll move along with some of our questions. What are some valuable things you've learned over the years at Kids Club? Like, I know you said it was 2011?
Yeah. 2011
or 2012, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But like, what are some things you've learned? Even like some, like, I like to hear the good things and also some of the bad things, that, like some of the mistakes that you maybe tried something and you're like, oh yeah, that doesn't work. Or like, I don't know, just things that you've learned along the way that maybe someone will hear it and be like, oh yeah, that's a really good lesson.
One thing I've learned, going back probably 6-7 years, is that sometimes less is more. We were up to the point, at that point we had all our ages together, and so 4 to 12 years old, and we had like 85 kids coming. Wow. And you try to manage 85 kids from the ages of 4 to 12, and it's just crowd control. Yeah. There's no relationship happening. It was pure chaos.
Mm-hmm. A lot of your interactions become negative interactions then too.
Yes. And it was a hard decision, but we made the decision to alternate our weeks and go every 2 weeks with each age group, split the age groups. And it was hard for me because it was like, man, we're just missing out on the time with these kids. But what I've seen is that deeper relationships have happened. Kids have been more open. You have staff that can interact with the age group they feel more comfortable with. Mm-hmm. You have better conversations, and even though you're only seeing them every 2 weeks, it has been a huge change for Kids Club. So that is one major lesson we've learned. It was I was resistant to changing like that. It felt like we were going to miss out on their lives, but in making the change, we've engaged more in their lives. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess, through the years, you also just realize how resilient kids are. These kids face so much at home, at school, in their lives. And as I've read into brain how the brain works and how kids process trauma, how all that works, it's like these kids are incredible. Like they just and also the kids long for structure. Whether they may not have much at home or they have a negative structure at home, but when you impose a positive structure, they may push back on it, but yet they're drawn to it somehow.
Yeah, there's safety there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the structure and all, without fail, I've seen, even working with the way in the teen ministry, it's the same thing with teens, that the structure is, you can be so intimidated by bringing that, because you're like, I want to be their best friend, and you want to be the person that is like, oh, they love you and they're cool with you and all that. But I think over and over and over again, I've learned that when you're able to be blunt and stern with what is supposed to happen, that immediately the respect for you and the respect for them longing for what you have to give them, it just goes through the roof. And some of the kids that I'm closest to are the ones that I had the most problems with. And it's just how it works. And it's really cool to see that. And it goes back to that, they long for structure and they long for stability. And if they know that that's going to be there and that you're going to be stable, even though you're going to be stern, they might not like it all the time. You're going to be consistent and you're going to be stable, and that it's the same with those kids. It's incredible. Like what you said, the resiliency, and they're smart, and they'll see your character, and the consistent stability. It really shows for those kids.
Yeah.
I even the other day, Taraji, Taraji, she was it was on a Tuesday night, and she was sitting there on the bench, and she was going around, and she told one of the interns, she was like, oh, you're like my friend. And then she told my wife, Samantha, she's like, you're like the group mom. And I was like, well, what am I? She's like, well, you're the group dad. You're stern and you don't let things fly, but then also you like to have fun. And I was like, oh, thanks. That's perfect. So it's if the kids can see the stability of just providing consistency, but then also help like guiding them, it's really cool to see. So I love that. You said the good structure, and not there's such a thing as bad structure, but providing a good structure.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So kind of backing up a little bit towards the beginning, you also mentioned that you and your wife are involved in some anti-human trafficking. Could you talk a little bit about that? What is your involvement, and then maybe what the organization does a little bit?
Yeah, so this was once again back when I was single. I had more spare time. I became aware of the issue of human trafficking in the States, and we're so often we're not. We get a distorted picture of it as something overseas, kidnappings, and while it happens, it's much more prevalent around here than we realize, and often it happens through more coercion or fraud, blackmail, whatever. And so I got a heart for helping out, and started looking into organizations, and I knew Atlanta was a hot spot for it. And so I was looking down at Atlanta. I was like, well, I can drive to Atlanta every now and then, or every couple weeks or whatever, and help out with an organization. And I became aware of an organization in Greenville that it was a fairly new organization, started by a survivor, and got involved there. This was back in 2014, and have been involved ever since. My wife started probably 5 years ago now. And our main role now is part of the intervention team. And that involves going to places where there is a high chance of people being trafficked, like strip clubs. And we have a team of ladies that goes into the strip clubs. They take gifts into the women in there. They talk with them, just build a relationship, let them know they're cared for, loved, seen. It's a forgotten group of people, and a looked down on group of people, and just treating them as humans. We also have a team that prays in the car in the parking lot while we're there. And my job specifically is to stand out in front, and I talk with the bouncers. Wow. I build relationships. We take gifts to them. We just talk to them. A lot of times it's pretty small talk, but let them know that we're there. We care about people. And we treat them as human beings.
Yeah. That's cool. Did you so like you were there close to the beginning of that one. Has it grown pretty significantly since you've been there?
It has. It's gone through its ups and downs. And I don't know if I mentioned the name of the organization is Switch. And it's in Greenville, focusing on the upstate trafficking or ending human trafficking in the upstate. But it's changed a lot. The club intervention looks a lot different than it used to. We used to go into multiple clubs. Sometimes it was 2 a.m. before we got out. Wow. Now we're going into a single club, and we go in every other Sunday evening. We spend, and sometimes it's longer. Sometimes we're there for an hour or two, but other times it's just a quick drop off with the gifts. If they don't feel like, if they get a bad feeling about the evening or just conversations aren't happening, then we'll just leave. And knowing that the gifts made it in, the connection is still there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we get pretty good at turning a blind eye to, and it's not always the most comfortable thing to think about or be around. But what was it like for you going into something like that for the first couple times? Like, how do you even make yourself do that with all of the it's way outside of comfort zone, I'm sure.
Well, Yeah, I'm not sure. At that point, there was some other men involved that had been involved for a while, and so you just kind of learn off them, and you just kind of go. At this point, we don't have very many men involved, and which is a need. Oftentimes, I'm standing out by myself out in front of the club. It is what it is. I mean, I'm fine with it, but yeah, we need some more men to get involved in this and be aware of what's going on and get a heart for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, maybe kind of taking everything into perspective, then, what is the work life and volunteer life balance for you? Like, how do you keep that? How do you keep that balanced?
Well, I work a regular job 5 days a week. Like we said, Monday nights are our kids club, and every other Sunday night is switch. So the weeks that we have switch, Mondays can be very hard.
Yeah.
Because I get up in the morning, and as soon as I get off work, I typically get off about a half hour early, thanks to my boss, and go straight to kids club pretty much, and get home 8:30, 9 o'clock that night. So it can be draining. As far as switch, the Sunday nights, late Sunday nights, we decided that it was a sacrifice we were willing to make, because we care about the mission. Other than that, like throughout the week, neither of those take a huge amount of energy. But it also, with Kids Club, with our presence there, it's opened up other avenues in the Mill Hill there to where things come up, and we are there. And so learning when to say yes, when to say no, I'm not sure if I've got a good answer for that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you found, like, you and Stephanie found certain days that you guys just kind of block out just to take rest, or is that something that's pretty hard for you to do?
So Saturdays are typically my day to just be home and just work around the house. It's not necessarily resting exactly, but it's a day that I can just get some of my projects done. Sunday afternoons, as much as we can, we try to rest. Our switch we don't have to leave until 6:30 in the evening. And so typically we have most of the afternoon that we can try to relax and rest. For us, typically Thursday evenings are our time for just us two. And that's subject to change depending on what comes up, but we try to take one evening a week that is just us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, the avoiding burnout, I think, has so much to do with understanding why you're doing what you're doing, and maybe having that expectation ahead of time, and taking the time to rest and play the long game a little bit, and not just wear yourself out in the moment. Yeah. What has been the most rewarding part of Kids Club and Switch, like, for you and maybe for your wife? Or
I think with Kids Club, we talked about a little bit, seeing the older ones that have come through our program and seeing them around town. There's still kids that I'll see, they'll come up and give me a hug every time they see me. It's just like, and I know maybe they're not doing the greatest, but just knowing that time that we had with them made an impact to some degree, is just very encouraging. And then another thing that's hugely encouraging is seeing my staff that come in and build relationships with these kids. They're doing stuff with the kids outside of kids church. They're mentoring guys and girls. There's one of our staff members, she brings 4 or 5 kids to church every Sunday, and then she'll go get them food. She'll take care of them. She's young, but yet she cares so deeply for these children that like she just sacrifices over and over and over for these children. And so being in the community where the kids are at, being able to see them throughout the week occasionally, I just love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that, because it's a multiplication when you're talking about your staff. It's not just adding more staff just so you can maybe have more kids, but it's like being able to go deeper if you're investing in your staff and your staff are getting a hold of that vision. And then like even being able to take kids to church like that, that's a big step for a lot of these kids. It's like they might want to go to kids church or whatever, but to go to an actual church, like with other people, and like, it's definitely a big step for any of them, and when they're willing to go, and that says a lot about whoever is able to take them then. And so I think if you can help your staff get behind the vision of what you're doing, it's cool to see that multiply, and they can have even a greater impact than what you and Stephanie can even have, and that's cool to see. And I would echo that with the youth center. That's a really rewarding part, is when you see your staff get a hold of that vision, and that's exciting.
I guess something else I'd add is something that also is encouraging is seeing people get a vision for other things. So the way youth center was a vision from Kids Club. Somebody felt like they needed to reach the teens after they came through our program, and so seeing people catch a vision like that. And starting something, and you guys have taken it to an incredible place, and I love it. But I love that somebody was able to feel the freedom to step away from Kids Club in order to pursue what they felt called to.
I think that's just like, no matter, exactly what you said. Like, they stepped away to do something else, but they got that hunger and that burning for something while they were involved in something. And I think that speaks to, like, even if you have the opportunity to do anything, like, go do it, and like do it with all like your heart, and like be passionate about it, but then see where that might take you, like, to other things. Because who knows, you might start something else because of something you feel. Like, if you have the chance to volunteer at a care center or even at like a kids club, but you're there a year and you realize there's a need for something else, then go do that. But I think whatever you're doing, just take the first step and get involved, and like, and then let that kind of work in your heart and your mind.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. God's not gonna force you to take part in something like that, but I feel like when we just start moving a little bit, He is right there, willing to guide us, and it often takes us to places that we had no idea we could get to. And the fulfillment that's there. Really amazing too.
So I guess wrapping it up, we like to end all our podcasts, all our episodes, with one question, and it's a question, we just came up with it at the beginning, and we're going to stick to it. And it's been really interesting to hear everybody's different perspectives on it, and we don't usually have the same answer twice, and it's fun to hear from your lens. What do you think? So this is a question. It's, what is one thing the world needs more of?
I think a couple weeks ago, somebody had mentioned just men that need to step up. And with our anti-trafficking work, I would definitely say that I've definitely thought of that we need men to be men and fight the good fight. But just in general, then, looking at things, I would say the world needs more hope. Where there's so much negativity around us. You see so much horrible things happening in the world. And people need hope to carry on. And I think we as Christians can be that hope for people. The way we respond to the negative things that come up in our lives, the way, the way we show other people that we care, I think that offers hope to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, there's lots of things the world needs, but I think hope is one of them.
Yeah, I love that. I was actually just listening to a podcast like 2 days ago, and they were talking about the message of hope versus like the message of like doom and destruction that some Christians have. And I think like if the world had more, if they looked at things more of the lens through hope and like seeing the bad things, but then seeing how God can restore them versus the idea of everything's going to be destroyed anyway. So like let's just kind of like shelter ourselves and like stay like in all the purity all the time. But I think like what you're doing, like you're going out and you're trying to show hope to people, like with the kids club, and you're in an area that is kind of, it's dirty. It's messy. It's not a easy thing to do. And then also with your switch with them, like you're going into places that it's messy, and like there's not a lot of hope, and like a lot of people could just say like let's just throw up a wall and like kind of bring ourselves away, and it's a message of destruction. But I think bringing in hope and to those places, that's what's gonna heal a lot easier than them seeing us pull away all the time. So yeah, I love that, and I think you're living that out well, and I encourage you to keep on doing it, because I think like people see the ministry, and they see the hope, and they see like, even like I said before, even the fact that you just picked up and moved there, like that shows that you're willing, like you want the best for it. You're not just trying to fix everything. You want to go in there and you want to provide hope. And so I think that means a lot, and that shows a lot. So, I love it. Hope.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being intentionally grounded in the community. So I know that's been important to you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a wrap. If you guys want something to do on a Monday night, Kids Club, volunteer. I think you guys are always looking for people to help with food and help with kids. And
right now we've got a good staff group, but I mean, it's always, we're always welcoming to new volunteers, and it's a great opportunity.
Yeah. And then also with Switch, if you want any more information, if they have a link, we'll put it in the bio. And then if not, we'll contact Davis and he'll get you connected. And like you said, if there's any men that want to get involved and help serve along Davis, it's a great opportunity to get involved with something. So we hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and thanks, Davis, for coming on and sharing with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good being here.
All right. That's a wrap.
Like and subscribe.